A reminder of the theme, the potential of small modular and micro reactors in accelerating Africa's energy transition. And some people will see the word nuclear and get worried. Please don't get worried. We're not talking about that nuclear, eh? There will be no bomb situation, I assure you. Ours is clean nuclear. So do not worry at all. For this opening ceremony, we will have a few remarks. I don't know if you've seen the program yet. We will have a few remarks. And then there's a conversation that we're going to have that I'm really looking forward to. We will have a panel come on stage for that conversation. And we have a few other sessions late in the day after the opening ceremony, and all the sessions will be taking place in the auditorium. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Their Excellencies Right Honorable Ali Lamin Zen, Prime Minister of the Republic of Niger, and Right Honorable Dr. Edouard Ngirente, Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda. You may take your seats. Excellencies, distinguished guests, leaders and visionaries, Mwaramtse, good morning, bonjour, and welcome to Kigali. How are we this morning? Thank you. Thank you very much. A warm welcome to the land of 1,000 hills. A warm welcome to the inaugural Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa. We're honored to have you in Kigali, honored to have you at the inaugural Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa. We have simultaneous interpretation, Channel 1 English and Channel 2 French. We are here today because energy is not just a utility, it is a foundation for dignity, opportunity, and transformation. My name is Jackie Lumbasi, and it is a great honor for me to be your MC today, a great honor to welcome you to this inaugural summit. Now, the theme for this year's summit is the potential of small modular and microreactors in accelerating Africa's energy transition. Now, whereas the theme highlights the exciting potential of small modular and microreactors, it is important for us to acknowledge that the traditional energy systems will continue to play a vital role for many of our countries. This inaugural summit is a call to action. You are in Kigali because you are key to this vision and ambition. Together we seek solutions that are bold, clean, and capable of lighting up every corner of our beautiful continent. Ladies and gentlemen, I now request that we have our eyes fixated on the screen for a short video that speaks to leadership in the age of nuclear energy.
Africa stands at a defining moment. More than 600 million people still live without access to reliable electricity. Energy poverty limits opportunity. It constrains growth, stifles innovation, and leaves communities in the dark, literally and figuratively. At the same time, Africa's future depends on industrialization, digital transformation, and climate-smart infrastructure, none of which can advance without reliable, scalable energy. Traditional energy systems alone simply can't carry the load. Africa needs bold, clean, and scalable solutions. This is where innovation comes in. A new generation of nuclear technology, small modular reactors, and micro-reactors. They are safe, flexible, low carbon, and scalable for Africa's unique landscape. From igniting industrial growth to transforming education, healthcare, and digital innovation, these technologies are set to fuel Africa's boldest aspirations. However, unlocking this potential requires more than technology. It demands political commitment, strategic investment, and bold regional cooperation. This is why this summit is a transformative moment. Together, we will unlock the potential of small modular and micro-reactors in accelerating Africa's energy transition. Welcome to the Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa, where ideas will become action and ambition will meet opportunity.
Indeed. Bold, clean, and scalable solutions. Distinguished guests, I now invite for his remarks the Chairman, Rwanda Atomic Energy Board, Dr. Lassina Zabo.
Right Honorable Prime Minister and dear friend, Dr. Edouard Nguyenhe. Son Excellence, cher frère Ali Mahaman Lamine Zein, Prime Minister of Niger, the Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania, and honorable ministers from across the continent, cabinet members and members of the diplomatic corps, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Kigali. What an honor to have you all, policymakers, leaders, and experts, academic institutions, and startups in innovative technologies, youth, all united by a common goal: to chart a sustainable and prosperous energy future for Africa. Rwanda is proud to host this important dialogue, building on the current momentum of nuclear energy implementation and its financing, along with forward-thinking African nations. With your support and partnerships, Rwanda is now taking center stage in the continent's nuclear energy journey, with the hope to see the Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa giving center stage to African states willing to host future events. But I cannot go on with this remark without acknowledging the leadership and vision of His Excellency President Paul Kagame, because he's the one who brought me to chair the Rwanda Atomic Energy Commission, or board. I'm from Burkina Faso. One would wonder why bringing somebody from Burkina to chair the Rwanda Atomic Energy Board. But that's the Pan-Africanism and the leadership and vision that President Kagame is sharing with you all to show that you don't have to be Rwandan, you just have to be African. Many gatherings have certainly played a pivotal role in highlighting Africa's readiness to embrace nuclear energy as part of the energy mix. Each one has reinforced a crucial message: Africa is not just a participant in the global energy conversation. We are leaders, innovators, and stakeholders shaping the future of clean energy solutions. As we set the tone here in Kigali, the government of Rwanda expects this summit and future ones to provide a platform for African nations to showcase the progress we are making, highlight our specific energy needs, and forge meaningful partnership with international stakeholders. It is an opportunity as well to demonstrate to the world that Africa is not merely adapting to the global energy transition, but is driving it with resilience, innovation, and collaboration. Now, what about Africa's vision and building on the momentum? Africa's energy vision is ambitious, yet essential. Our rapidly growing populations and economies require an energy infrastructure that is not only expansive, but sustainable. Nuclear energy offers us a unique opportunity to meet these demands while addressing the challenges of energy poverty and climate change. Ghana, Kenya, many other African countries have established a strong foundation for continental dialogue on nuclear energy. They introduce key questions about capacity building or capacity development, infrastructure, and now financing, and began to tackle the critical issue to regional cooperation. When I talk financing, and I want to salute my dear brother, the Prime Minister of Niger, who has a strong background in finance, Minister of Economy and Prime Minister. It's during our discussion at the West African Development Bank Development Days that we talk about your invitation to join. And we want to thank you for having honored all of us to be here. And thank you, Prime Minister. Here in Kigali, we advance this conversation with a focus on actionable strategies as Rwanda paves the way for small modular reactors and microreactors to establish the integration of nuclear science and technology into socio-economic and industrial development. Rwanda has already taken significant stride by partnering with the International Atomic Energy Agency and establishing a Center of Excellence for Nuclear Science. And Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi will certainly dwell into our cooperation and the great initiative he has had for the continent since taking office. He's joining us tomorrow, and then we're looking forward to having him. From improving healthcare to enhancing agriculture and exploring energy solutions, together with the IAEA, UNECA, the United Nations Commission for Africa, the World Nuclear Association, and I welcome Dr. Sama Bilbao, the Director General of the World Nuclear Association here. Thank you for coming. And the Nuclear Energy Agency, Africa is showcasing the transformative potential of nuclear technology for sustainable development. As we host this summit, Rwanda's commitment to safety, security, and non-proliferation also underscores the principle that's my guide's nuclear energy journey. Hosting today's discussion in Kigali is symbolic of a broader continental opportunity. Africa's nuclear energy aspirations are no longer theoretical. They are grounded in real needs, compelling data, and a growing urgency, 1,008% for Rwanda alone. Meeting these needs requires a robust, multifaceted approach, and nuclear energy must play a central role. This Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit represents a unique opportunity for us to take the insights from today's discussion to a global stage. It will allow us to present Africa's case for nuclear energy. While the opportunities for nuclear energy are immense, so are the challenges. Africa faces barriers in finances, infrastructure, and political commitment. But these challenges are not insurmountable. Experience has taught us that when we work collectively as a continent with reliable partners, we can overcome these challenges. The summit should and will be a moment for Africa to articulate its priorities, demand equitable technology transfer, and reinforce its position as a key player in the global clean energy transition. We must continue to explore innovative financing mechanisms, models such as build, own, operate, and turnkey solutions offer ways to reduce the financial burden on individual countries. Collaborative initiatives like joint procurement schemes also ensure that small nations can access the benefits of nuclear energy. The West African Development Bank and other development banks are vital allies in mobilizing these resources, alongside international partners like the IEA, the private sector investors. I take this opportunity to salute the recent changes as multilateral development banks embark in possibly financing nuclear energy as a serious means for Africa's socio-economic and industrial development. Now talking about regional integration. And yes, Africa's energy future depends on collaboration. Initiatives like the West African Power Pool and the Southern African Power Pool exemplify the potential for shared energy infrastructure. By aligning our grids and regulatory frameworks, we can ensure that nuclear energy benefits not just individual nations, but the entire regions. Nuclear energy also offers an unprecedented opportunity to equip Africa's youth with the skills needed for a high-tech future. By investing in education and capacity building and or development, we can create a generation of nuclear engineers, regulators, and policymakers who lead this sector for decades to come. Rwanda's experience with the development of its Center of Nuclear Excellence demonstrates the value of prioritizing youth in our nuclear ambitions. Now talking about political commitment and trust. Finally, our government and His Excellency, Dr. Edward Ngirente, we must demonstrate long-term commitment to nuclear energy. Projects of this scale require stability and consistency, with clear guarantee to attract investors and reassure the public. Public trust is equally important, and we must communicate the benefits of nuclear energy clearly and transparently. Our goal must be to develop a united voice that articulates our needs and aspirations. We must highlight our readiness to innovate, our commitment to sustainability, and our determination to lead. The summit is an opportunity to deepen partnership, work on securing investment, and advocate for equitable access to the technology. It is a chance to remind the world that Africa's energy future is a matter of global importance. By embracing nuclear energy, Africa can demonstrate that sustainable development and industrial growth are not mutually exclusive, but are complementary pillars of progress. Excellencies, distinguished guests, let us use this moment to reaffirm our commitment to Africa's energy future. Let us strengthen our collaborations, refine our strategies, and ensure that nuclear energy becomes a cornerstone of Africa's sustainable development. The path ahead requires vision, courage, and unity. And that's why we are in Rwanda. And Rwanda is proud to lead this conversation today, and we look forward to taking the insights we gather here to making sure Africa has a seat at the global stage. Together, we can and we should build an energy future that serves all Africans and secures a sustainable legacy for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zabo. And as you rightly put it, Africa will no longer be a participant in global energy conversations. We are leading and we are innovating. And indeed, together, we can build an energy future that serves all Africans. Thank you so much. And now, distinguished guests, it is my greatest honor to invite forward Honorable Dr. Doto Mashaka Biteko, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Energy, Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania.
I like the way you said Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Honorable Dr. Edward Ngirente, the Prime Minister of Rwanda, Honorable Ali Mohamed Zein, the Prime Minister of Niger, Honorable Ministers here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the United Republic of Tanzania, it is great pleasure to stand before you to address this third summit on nuclear power development, titled Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa, which is happening here in Kigali, Rwanda. On the outset, let me express my profound gratitude to the government of Rwanda in collaboration with the key stakeholders like international institutions, including International Atomic Agency, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, the Nuclear Energy Agency, and the World Nuclear Association for hosting this Nuclear Energy Summit here in Kigali, Rwanda, with the theme, the potential of small modular and micro reactor in accelerating energy for Africa transition. Today, Nuclear Energy Summit exemplifies the partnership support and collaboration that exists toward nuclear international development in the energy sector. We deeply value the partnership and pledge to continue working together to ensure that the collaboration contribute to the prosperity of the African ambition. The knowledge and results which is going to be generated through this summit are anticipated to significantly contribute to strategic advancement and power our people. We believe that the insight which is going to be gained and the outcome of this summit will be instrumental in advancing the development of nuclear power in Africa. Distinguished guests, as it has been said, about 600 million people and 10 million small businesses in Africa have no access to reliable electricity. This challenge is further compounded by the fact that electricity demand in Africa is growing twice as much, as faster as the global average, driven by urgent need for industrialization to meet our social economic priorities. Not only that, but also the climate change has impacted the performance of most of our traditional energy sources, resulting in reduced power generation from these traditional sources. In my own country, Tanzania, the annual power demand is growing at a pace of 10 to 15%. To meet our development goal, we plan to increase our installed capacity generation from the current status, which is 4,414 megawatts, to over 10,000 megawatts in the year 2030. Our commitment to regional power integration through the Eastern and Southern African Power Pool and the eventual continental-wide grid interconnection present the significant opportunity to exploit our energy sources, including nuclear, which we have them in abundance. We remain optimistic that nuclear energy will be a viable option for our future. Ladies and gentlemen, Tanzania regards nuclear energy not only as an alternative energy source, but also an environmental friendly energy crucial for sustainable future due to its ability to provide reliable and low carbon sources of electricity. Unlike fossil fuels, nuclear power generates vast amounts of energy with minimal greenhouse gas emission, which is essential for combating climate change, which is very essential for combating climate change, and I think this is the area we have to put much more effort to develop these sources. Nuclear also offers stable and continuous energy supply, as nuclear plant can operate efficiently for a long period and with less fluctuation compared to renewable sources like solar, wind. And additionally, advanced nuclear technology such as next-generation reactors and small modular reactors promises to enhance safety, reduce waste, and increase efficiency. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the government of Tanzania, under the leadership of Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, has issued directives to the Minister of Energy under my leadership to ensure that in the near future, nuclear-generated energy must be integrated into our energy national grid. We are committed to create an enabling environment for nuclear electricity generation, including developing robustity, policy, legal, and regulatory framework on uranium resources and nuclear electricity generation, and human capacity development on nuclear power technologies and other related matters. These efforts, ladies and gentlemen, will support the exploitation of nuclear resources and also open a new avenue for applying nuclear technologies in medicine, agriculture, and energy at large. Distinguished guests, our commitment to nuclear power is also reflected in our national energy policy, power system master plan, renewable energy strategy, and mineral development policies. These documents, which we have in place, recognize the nuclear energy as key component in meeting Tanzania's future energy needs. Furthermore, in the year 2023, Tanzania signed a country program framework, which was 23 through 27, with the International Atomic Agency. This framework serves as a strategic reference in our mid-term technical cooperation with this agency, addressing crucial areas, including the development of robust nuclear legal framework, enhancing nuclear and radiation safety and security, and application of nuclear technology in food and agriculture. It also emphasizes improving human health through nuclear application, advancing water resources management, and planning for energy needs. Additionally, this document, it focuses on boosting industrial application and fostering nuclear knowledge development and management. Distinguished delegates, however, given the complexity of nuclear technology, in our current limitation and financial human capacity, we call upon for strategic partnership that are essential for overcoming these challenges. The summit provides invaluable opportunity for our country, Tanzania, and the rest of Africa to learn more from one another and develop concrete solutions for advancing nuclear powers. We pledge our commitments to cooperate with development partners and other African nations to ensure that nuclear power become an integral part of our energy mix and indeed be integrated in our grid. I wish to conclude, and I wish to reiterate Tanzania's deep appreciation for the ongoing support of our strategic partner in advancing nuclear power development through technical cooperation. Tanzania reaffirms its commitment in upholding international obligations, ensuring peaceful, safe, and secure use of nuclear energy for power generation. With these remarks, I thank you for your kind attention. Asanteni sana, and God bless you.
Asante sana, Dr. Dotto, and God bless you too. Those are powerful words. Dr. Dotto remains optimistic that nuclear energy is what will take Africa to the next level as far as energy is concerned. And as you heard, his ministry has been instructed to ensure nuclear generated energy is integrated to the grid. And we do wish you all the best with that, Dr. Dotto. And now it is my honor to invite His Excellency Right Honorable Ali Lamin Zen, Prime Minister of the Republic of Niger.
Honorable Premier ministre Dr Machaka, ministre de l'Énergie de Tanzanie, cher frère Dr Lassina, Premier ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, distingués invités, c'est un honneur pour le Niger d'être invité et représenté à ce sommet sur l'innovation dans le secteur de l'énergie nucléaire en Afrique. Au nom de son Excellence, le Président de la République du Niger, chef de l'État, le général Abdraman Chani, je voudrais vous adresser nos plus vifs remerciements. Lorsque, à Lomé, mon frère le Premier ministre m'a parlé de cette rencontre, il y avait 3 raisons qui pouvaient justifier que nous répondions. La première, c'était un Burkinabé. Burkinabé, vous savez, le Niger, le Mali et le Burkina ont créé la Confédération des États du Sahel. Ça a été un honneur pour nous de savoir que notre compatriote est appelé par le Rwanda, un pays qui travaille pour l'Afrique. Et donc, première raison. La deuxième raison, on parle de l'uranium, l'énergie nucléaire. Le Niger est ce pays qui recèle la mine la plus importante du continent et la deuxième au monde. Donc, on ne pouvait pas être absent de ce grand rendez-vous pour discuter et savoir comment est-ce qu'on peut, sous le couvert de la solidarité, partager cette ressource. La troisième raison, l'événement se passe au Rwanda. Le Rwanda est un pays qui prêche par l'exemple. La gouvernance, l'ordre, la discipline et le panafricanisme. Donc tout cela réuni, nous avons sollicité l'autorisation du général Tchani pour venir et par la grâce de Dieu, nous sommes là ce matin. Vous savez, le Niger, c'est un territoire vaste, c'est 1 267 000 km². Si on veut faire de l'énergie solaire, c'est 12 mois sur 12 que nous avons le soleil. Et les 2/3 du pays, c'est le désert. On peut rentabiliser, il y a le vent. Le Niger produit également du pétrole, du gaz. Mais nous avons également de l'eau, des eaux, j'ai presque envie de dire. Nous avons le fleuve Niger sur lequel les bailleurs de fonds, en tête desquels la Banque africaine de développement à l'époque, dirigée par un Rwandais que je salue, Donald Kaberuka, avait pris place pour financer le barrage de Kandaji. Donc nous avons diverses sources d'énergie, mais nous avons l'uranium également. L'accès donc à cette ressource, l'accès à l'énergie fiable est aujourd'hui un défi majeur pour le développement de nos nations. Le Niger entend donc y apporter une contribution singulière et décisive. Producteur d'uranium depuis plus de 50 ans, il maîtrise l'ensemble de la chaîne, que ce soit au niveau de l'extraction, du traitement et de l'exportation. Notre ambition, c'est même d'opérer de la transformation localement. Nous avons toute l'expertise pour cela. La mine de Somaïr. Somaïr est cette société que notre pays, sous le leadership du président Tchani, a décidé de nationaliser. Le produit qui en sortira servira à tout le continent. Il faudra le retenir. C'est une société qui est censée faire de l'exploitation jusqu'en 2044. Donc il y a du potentiel. Il y a la mine de Dassa qui entre en production bientôt et le gisement d'uranium d'Imouraren. Cette mine qui est la première au monde, sur le continent et deuxième au monde, où les réserves sont estimées à 200 000 tonnes. Cela donc garantit indubitablement un approvisionnement sur plusieurs décennies. Grâce donc à l'expertise dont dispose le Niger, qui a contribué efficacement à éclairer une grande partie de l'Europe de l'Ouest, pendant plusieurs décennies, il est temps maintenant que nous consacrions cette énergie à éclairer l'Afrique. Aujourd'hui, donc, fort de cet acquis, le Niger veut prendre son destin énergétique en main. Le nucléaire, parce qu'il est sûr, propre et compétitif, est un levier incontournable pour notre souveraineté, parce que c'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Il peut devenir un moteur de solidarité continentale. Je fais mienne toutes les déclarations qui ont été faites par les deux premiers ministres qui m'ont précédé. C'est donc dans cet esprit que nous avons lancé le programme électronucléaire du Niger qu'on appelle le PEN. Le PEN a déjà franchi plusieurs étapes concrètes, avec notamment l'élaboration et l'adoption de la stratégie nationale de mise en œuvre de la réalisation des études sectorielles. Le cadre institutionnel et réglementaire qui est mis en place est en train d'être renforcé. L'étape prochaine sera donc celle de la sécurisation des financements et partenariats. Avec ma casquette de ministre de l'économie et des finances, c'est avec plaisir que j'échangerai avec tous qui voudraient investir. Nous sommes là aujourd'hui pour plancher sur ces questions de mobilisation des ressources. Et j'ai fait un salut à notre frère Serge Ekwe, à la tête de la Banque West African Development, qui y travaille ardemment. Pour nous, ce programme s'inscrit dans la durée, la transparence, la bonne gouvernance, via une coopération équitable et sincère, respectueuse des intérêts de nos peuples. Pendant longtemps, nous avons vu cette matière partir et éclairer d'autres continents. Il est important à partir de cet instant que sous le couvert de gagnant-gagnant, que nous puissions procéder à une exploitation, une transformation et une distribution à la fin. Nous vous invitons donc à vous joindre à nous pour transformer cette vision en réalité. Ensemble, écrivons une nouvelle page de l'histoire énergétique de l'Afrique et que la lumière du nucléaire éclaire durablement le progrès de notre continent et que cette initiative soit entretenue ici même au Rwanda sous le leadership de son président. Nous sommes rassurés. D'ailleurs, je disais hier à notre frère Lassina que la prochaine rencontre, souhaitons qu'elle se passe au Niger. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Merci beaucoup. Prime Minister has said 2/3 of the country is a desert, but Niger has large deposits of uranium, oil, gas, water, and the country is ready to contribute to the vision being advanced here over the next few days. Niger has launched the electronuclear program that has seen great achievements already. The Prime Minister has also said that nuclear is clean and competitive, and it's an important factor for Africa's sovereignty. Thank you, that's powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct honor to invite His Excellency Right Honorable Dr. Nyirene for his keynote address.
Excellence, Monsieur Ali Mahaman Lamine, Premier ministre de la République du Niger, Your Excellency Dr. Doto Biteko, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Energy of the United Republic of Tanzania, honorable ministers here present, distinguished delegates, scientists, nuclear experts, and partners from across our continent and beyond, a very good morning. On behalf of His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, I warmly welcome you to the first ever Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa, NEISA 2025. Let me begin by thanking all our partners, this important summit would not happen, would not have been possible without your shared commitment to Africa's energy transformation. For anyone familiar with Africa's energy landscape and its related challenges, it is easier to understand the relevance of this summit. The future of the Africa energy landscape will continue to be driven by increasing energy demand and increasing population growth. According to some statistics, in not more than 40 years from today, Africa's population would exceed 3 billion people. Therefore, the continent will be potentially the largest energy market globally, driven mostly by industrialization, use of artificial intelligence, and urbanization, all necessary to achieve the continental development aspirations. At the same time, as we gather here today, there are more than 600 million Africans who do not have access to electricity. They rely on biomass and other non-clear energy sources to meet their basic energy needs. This situation results in increased pressure on available forest resources. It further puts at risk natural ecosystems that are already suffering from negative impacts of climate change. While Africa has significant solar, wind, and hydropower resources that can potentially meet the energy needs of all its population, these resources are not evenly distributed, which limits electricity access in many parts of the continent. This energy gap continues to hold back growth and development across the continent. To bridge this energy gap, now more than ever, our countries need to jointly work towards finding alternative solutions of energy production. And one of the best solutions for Africa to achieve its development agenda is to urgently adopt nuclear energy for power generation and other industrial applications. As we know, nuclear energy is categorized as a clean source of energy. Both the Paris Agreement and the COP29 have acknowledged its role in helping achieve global net zero carbon emissions, as will be discussed throughout this conference. And we should agree that investing in clean, reliable energy sources like nuclear is not just smart policy, it's a necessary step towards sustainable development. The use of nuclear energy will not only address the energy deficit, but also will potentially provide innovative solutions to advance other sectors, such as agriculture and healthcare, among others. Too often, when people hear the word nuclear, they think of harmful or dangerous use. But contrary to this perception, that's not our focus. This gathering is about nuclear energy for peace, innovation, and development. As you know, climate change is already harming the energy sources, sources we have relied on for years. That makes it more urgent to find new, reliable ways to power our homes, communities, and economies. Take the example of Zambezi River. In 2024, its water levels dropped significantly, forcing the Kariba Dam, one of Africa's largest hydropower plants, to cut back electricity generation. This led to power shortage and exposed how climate change is putting even our most dependable energy infrastructure at risk. We believe that in this context, Africa must act, and we must act together. As mentioned earlier, our continent is rich in energy resources. However, these are not equally spread and remain dependent on weather conditions. And that's why nuclear energy deserves our attention. It is clean, reliable, and does not depend on rain or sun. It provides consistent power day and night. Distinguished guests, here in Rwanda, our Vision 2050 aims at making us an upper middle-income country by 2035 and a high-income country by 2050. For the implementation of this national development agenda, known as the Rwanda Vision 2050, our country will need up to 5 gigawatts in electricity generation capacity, or available internal energy sources can provide up to 1 gigawatt. Therefore, Rwanda has decided to use nuclear energy for power generation to avoid the imbalance in energy demand and supply. This will accelerate our economic transformation towards a knowledge-based economy. In this regard, we recognize the need for smaller and micro-nuclear power plants as pathway for smaller energy systems to afford nuclear energy in our national energy mix. In this context, Rwanda remains committed to fostering an open and supportive business environment. And we welcome partners from around the world to collaborate, localize their solutions, and scale impact not only in Rwanda, but across the continent. As I conclude, let me leave you with 3 messages to carry forward. First, in the African context, nuclear energy holds the potential to accelerate progress, strengthen essential services, and promote inclusive development across all communities during the energy transition. Second, Africa must lead this transition together through regional partnerships, innovation, and global cooperation. We can turn today's energy challenges into tomorrow's opportunities. Third, the time to act is now. Climate change is real, and our population is growing. We must diversify our energy mix, and nuclear is part of that solution. With these remarks, I now declare the 2025 Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa officially open. I wish you fruitful discussion.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister Murakoze cyane. As the Prime Minister has said, Africa must be in this transition together, and there is an opportunity here for us to turn today's challenges into tomorrow's opportunities. The energy gap continues to hold back growth and development, and to bridge this gap, we all have to work together. Investing in clean energy is not a policy, not just a policy, but a necessary step to take. And for the next 2 days, when you hear the word nuclear, please don't think of the harmful nuclear. Think of peace, innovation, and development. Thank you very much, Right Honorable. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch gears and have a conversation about nuclear energy's role in Africa's development agenda. And for the purpose of this conversation, join me as I invite forward Dr. Sama Bilbao, Director General, World Nuclear Association. Dr. Lassina Zabo, Chairman, Rwanda Atomic Energy Board. And to moderate this conversation, I invite Dr. Andrew Kamau, Co-Director, Energy Opportunity Lab.
Conversation. with two of my friends. And I think I'm going to first start with you, Dr. Zebo. You're our host. I wanted to find out from you, why are we talking about energy? You know, we seem to be entering into a conversation in the middle of a conversation. You know, we are talking about nuclear energy. We've heard from the distinguished speakers before us about some of the needs that are there. But why do we talk about energy? What is it for?
Thank you, Andrew. First of all, you talk about energy because, you know, Dr. Kande Yumkwela, who is the former Director General of the Industrial Development Agency, and also the Executive Secretary of Sustainable Energy for Whole, was supposed to be here.
Yes.
And being at the panel with Dr. Bilbao. But in fact, he can't come because there's an energy crisis in Sierra Leone. It's that serious that he has to cancel last minute. And in fact, he was texting just now and sending pictures of the discussion he's having and the negotiation with the power supplier. That shows that energy is key. And both prime ministers and the deputy prime minister of Tanzania have laid out the issue we have in Africa. And in my discussion with you and many others, we're talking about solar energy. But I often ask people, solar is great for electrification, but we haven't yet managed to industrialize the continent with solar energy. You've talked about the cost of solar energy and the fact that it has been spread across the continent and across our villages for what people need, for lightning. But what we need is powering our agriculture, powering, in this modern day, our data centers for artificial intelligence that is now accessible to everyone. And I think there will be a discussion with both Minister of ITCs of Rwanda and Togo, and then many others to discuss this issue. Energy is key. Agriculture is, but energy is as well. And then they go both together. And that's why Africa cannot get away from getting involved in the implementation of nuclear power plant today, and specifically with the small modular reactors that are easy to deploy, modulable, as we say. And I'm sure Dr. Bilbao, who is the World Nuclear Association head, will give more detail on the technical aspect of those technologies.
Yeah. Dr. Bilbao, I wanted to ask you, the whole nuclear thing, it's not new. It's not new to Africa. In the 50s, you know, there was the Atoms for Peace program, which was started by President Eisenhower after the Second World War. And there was a program of foreign nuclear research reactors, of which Kinshasa got a research reactor. And then it ended. And I think the reason it ended is because there was a fear of nuclear proliferation, of misuse of nuclear fuel. What is going to be different this time? You know, we talk about regulations, about laws. What's different this time?
Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Dr. Servo, and thank you to the government of Rwanda for putting this together. It's a great opportunity to actually bring lots of thought leadership to move Africa forward when it comes to development and energy. So answering your question, Andrew, and I think that Dr. Servo alluded to what's happened in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years at a global level, not only in Africa. We have finally made the connection that prosperity, socioeconomic development, industry, quality of life, health, education, exciting jobs, all those things need abundant, affordable, 24/7 clean energy. And in many parts of the world, we have realized that nuclear energy is definitely a piece of that puzzle. Not the only piece, but clearly an essential piece. So we are seeing how in all parts of the world, the conversations are changing about nuclear. So first of all, the conversation is no longer whether nuclear is a piece, whether nuclear should be considered. The conversation is how much and how fast. And this is in North America, this is in Europe, this is obviously happening in China, India, Southeast Asia, Central Asia. So now we need to make sure that this is also happening in Africa. We have a few things already happening. In Egypt, in South Africa, we are seeing not only accelerating the growth for nuclear, but I think that we really need to bring all these pieces together everywhere else in Africa. And let me just say, to me, this is a perfect moment in the history because it's not just Africa who is rebuilding this infrastructure that, as you said, we used to have in the 60s, 70s, or earlier. This is the same in many other parts of the world. In Europe, in North America, for more than 20 years, we have not invested in this technology. We have really let the infrastructure to go a little bit eroded. And now we are working to bring that back. So I think that this is a perfect opportunity for Africa to join the movement. Let's not wait for somebody else to come to Africa. Let's make sure that Africa is sitting at the table with all the other countries that are pursuing nuclear energy. Because as you know, there is many existing nuclear countries, but there is many newcomer countries in all corners of the world. In Africa, in Europe, we have Poland, we have Norway, we have Denmark. These are newcomer countries that have never had nuclear power. So they are in the same situation almost as we have some countries in Africa. Or Central Asia, you have Kazakhstan, you have Uzbekistan, you have Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia. Or if you look at Asia, you have Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. All those countries are no different than Africa, and they are all moving forward. I think that is the moment to build this coalition of the newcomer ambitious to actually be at the table and make sure that you make actionable decisions on your future, including nuclear as part of the picture.
So when we talk about regulations, we talk about laws, where can we look for good examples? I know we were talking initially about places like UAE who are able to build 3 nuclear power plants in the shortest possible time, Korea maybe. So what are these shining lights that we can look towards?
Right. Well, so let me just say, I think that it's important that we look at nuclear not in isolation. I think that we need to look at the entire energy system. So it's important to have a long-term vision of the entire energy system, including, of course, the generation, a diverse and secure generation, including probably nuclear in many cases, but also the entire system, transmission, distribution, and all the ancillary services to make sure that, well, that we have a reliable system. So there are a few good examples all over the world of actually having this thought leadership to move forward quickly. You mentioned UAE. I think that UAE certainly is a shining example of how to go from 0 to 25% of your electricity coming from carbon-free nuclear energy in 15 years. That is crazy. And it's even more important because obviously this infrastructure is going to be in the UAE for the next 60, 80, 100 years. So it is going to power this growth for generations to come. But if you think about this, this is not very different to what is happening, for example, Bangladesh. Bangladesh will start their first nuclear power plant this year or maybe early next year, I mean very, very soon. And Bangladesh is going to go from 0 to 10% of their energy capabilities coming from electricity, coming from nuclear in 10, 11 years. That is very ambitious. But then again, look at what happened in France or in Sweden in the 80s and 70s. It's not different. These were countries that were trying to develop. They didn't have the strong economies that they have today. And they made a bet. They have a strong, bold leadership that said nuclear energy has to be a piece of our long-term economic development. And In the case of France, for example, we have 19 plants built in 15 years. In Sweden, I think it was 10 plants in 10 years. So it is feasible, it's been done before. We did it without AI, without advanced computers. So clearly we should be able to do it again when all this technology and growth and industrial infrastructure that we have at a global level.
Because I wanted to ask you something on this. Is it build it, they will come? Because, you know, a lot of the times you hear, we want to go out and get funding for a power plant. We want to get funding for transmission lines. But you don't consume any electricity. Who's going to pay for it? You know, so how do we get beyond that? How do we get beyond short-term funding into 20, 30-year kind of funding to reduce the interest rates, tenure, and also ultimately the tariff that comes out?
We mentioned the recent changes of some of the multilateral development bank, like the World Bank. His Excellency the Prime Minister of Niger mentioned the West African Development Bank and Mr. Serge Koué, who has been at the forefront of this idea of having our regional financial institution getting into rethinking their financing model. And I think there will be a debate in financing. We have venture capitalists that are here in the room. We have representatives of the financial institution. We're talking about possibly reforming some of those institutions so that they can rethink, as you said, long-term financing with the trust necessary to believe that by investing in nuclear energy, it might not pay off immediately, but it'll pay off because you start a nuclear energy program for 50 to 100 years. Yeah. It's a long-term commitment. Yeah. But some of the countries like the United Arab Emirates have been innovative in financing model. For instance, by tokenizing certified reserve to make available funding for countries like emerging countries like most of us in Africa to tackle the issue of nuclear energy. I think that's something that we should rethink and then we should embark in. I think Niger, with being the second producer of uranium, could certainly consider tokenizing its reserve, certified because it's been in research, exploration, and exploitation for some time. I think it's time that they take ownership in tokenizing those reserves so that it could make available fund for them to consider infrastructure, not only in nuclear, but other type of infrastructure for their socio-economic and industrial development. I'm sure better people in financial model will come and talk about what could be the easiest way to fund nuclear energy, and then the change of mindset between immediate return on investment and long-term, which is what we're trying to do and we've been doing with nuclear energy.
Yeah.
Dr. Bilbao.
Yes,
skills.
If I may add, Andrew, I think that what Dr. Servo just said is absolutely essential. I think that there is financing out there for clean energy and clean energy infrastructure. And I think that the new changes that we have seen with the World Bank changing their lending policies, and frankly, many global banks and financial institutions paying a lot of attention at the role of nuclear. I think we are seeing a sea change here. I think you remember last year at the New York Climate Week, we were able to bring together 14 global major banks and financial institutions that were supportive of this goal of tripling global nuclear capacity by 2050 everywhere in the world. And so I think that we've been able to, we need to do much more work, don't get me wrong, but I think that we are seeing how these financiers are recognizing the completely different business case for nuclear power projects. How we are looking at a 60, 80, 100-year project with, yes, large capital investment up front, but as soon as the plant is operating, we are going to see steady, constant, reliable revenues that are going to be very, very profitable. We are seeing this everywhere. So it's just really a matter of attracting the right investors into these projects. Clearly, perhaps some investors with very short time frames may not be very well aligned with new nuclear projects. Perhaps they will be very well aligned with exploration of uranium or mining of uranium. There may be different types of projects and maybe different, pension funds or sovereign wealth funds may be much better aligned with a longer term energy infrastructure project that includes nuclear. So this type of work we are doing, and I know that many policymakers here in the room have been doing this homework, but I think that the good news is that the mindset is changing and financiers are understanding better and better how nuclear fits in the financing picture.
I think one of the things that obviously is there that we need to create skills, both engineering, the nuclear scientists and people who can, of course, maintain these plants. I'm always concerned about brain drain because, the training is happening in other countries. And there are shortages, of course. Everyone is talking about nuclear. Once our best and brightest go somewhere to learn this, what are the chances that they'll come back? I mean, this is for both of you. Is there a way we can have this training done in centers of excellence here on the continent?
Yes, I would say so, because Ghana has a school for nuclear engineering that is bringing about people from across the continent. But I want to give the example of Rwanda. What under President Kagame's vision, Rwanda has, for the past 5 years, consistently sent professional and young students abroad to study nuclear science technology. For the past 5 years, and the 6th year, next year, precisely, they will be trained in Rwanda. That's probably the way to go, because we create a critical mass of experts that will accompany the deployment and implementation of our nuclear energy ambitions. But also, Dr. Sama will probably elaborate on it. She's funding training courses, 5 weeks training courses on nuclear science and technology. In fact, she's running tomorrow to go to China for their graduation. And I hope the fact that she's here, she will do the course next year in Rwanda. Yeah. And that's what I hope.
Okay, let's plan on that. I like that idea. No, so I very much agree with Dr. Servo. Obviously, we need to invest, we need to inspire, develop, and grow this global nuclear workforce. That this is clear. And it is true that perhaps there is more existing capabilities in other parts of the world, so we really need to make a serious investment in that in the continent of Africa. At the same time, I will say one thing. When we are looking at these big nuclear projects, only a small part of the people that will be involved in these projects, in the running of these facilities, are going to be nuclear engineers or nuclear professionals. We are going to need lots of mechanical engineers and civil engineers and electrical engineers and chemical engineers and all kinds of engineers, of which we already have many, and we can have many more. But very importantly, we also need pipe fitters and welders and people in manufacturing. We need project managers. We need economists and financiers. We need all kinds of other people that are going to contribute to this effort. So I think that it's important to have a country-wide, region-wide policy to develop this workforce, not just in nuclear, but in clean energy, because many of these professions are going to be shareable among the different pieces of the entire energy system. And then I will give you maybe one more example. This is coming specifically from the UK, but I think that there are equivalent examples elsewhere. So in the UK, there is a lot of effort that is being done to repower and reskill workers that are coming from other industries. The coal industry, for example, in the United Kingdom is in decline. Yet there is many, many experienced people that are in that industry that can be reskilled and re-educated to be able to work in nuclear or in other clean energy industries. So I think that this is a huge task. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize the effort, but I really want to make sure that we understand that we don't have to start from scratch. There is lots of talent already existing in our pools that we really need to redirect and repower in the right direction. And then I would say one last thing, taking advantage of the mention. So World Nuclear University Summer Institute is, as Dr. Servo said, one of our flagship programs. We are very proud of this. It's a 5-week program where we bring 70 people, promising people. They have been selected by the organizations to come into this program. And we educate them in everything and anything about nuclear energy. But more importantly, we educate them for them to become the next generation of leaders in the nuclear industry. And I cannot emphasize enough how important is leadership. I mean, we need all the technicians, all the experts in all the pieces of the puzzle, but we need the vision and the bold leadership that is needed to actually drive these programs forward.
Thank you very much. It looks like we've come to the end of this session, but I think it's just a primer, and it'll be the setting of the discussions that we'll have for the next 2 days. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sama, Dr. Zabo, Dr. Andrew, for the great moderation. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Sama said sustainable development, prosperity, need abundant, affordable, 24/7 clean energy. And Dr. Andrew asked a very important question about getting beyond short-term funding. Indeed, there's need to rethink the financing model. And I hope that Dr. Zabo will have more time in these 2 days to expound a bit on tokenizing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the opening ceremony, and I want to appreciate the Right Honorable Prime Minister for declaring it open. Your Excellencies, it has been a great pleasure having you with us this morning. Thank you very much for the valuable insights that you have shared with us. This will lay a great foundation for the conversations that will follow in these 2 days. Distinguished guests, there's a lot more to come, but for now, I request that we remain in our positions as their Excellencies depart.